Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner. We got a good show today. Go over a little Reddit drama. Off-season tournaments got me thinking.
Got him thinking.
Okay. Call it that. Trevor's trivia, a little off-season player tracker.
Got me thinking.
And then in the bag to round out the show. So it should be a fun one. But first,
I'm having so much fun already.
A word from our sponsors. All right, 'tis the season for clean balls. Fa la 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 la. Our friends at Manscaped are helping you clear your driveway for safe travels this holiday season. From stocking stuffers to white elephants.
Wait, they make snowblowers now?
Yeah, Manscaped's products are at the top of every wish list. Grab some crop mops for your pops or the body buffer for your holiday lover, and win this year's white elephant gift exchange by going to manscaped.com and using the code GRIPLOCK for 20% off.
It would be a good way
plus free shipping. Manscaped's the one-stop shop for all your holiday needs. They have the perfect gift in the Platinum Package 4.0, plus loads of perfect presents for stocking stuffers. What better holiday gift than giving the gift of good hygiene and a few laughs, as we've already had during the ad read. They offer a handful of liquid formulations as well: shampoos, body wash, upstairs and downstairs deodorants, gels, exfoliants, and absolutely everything you can need to keep it clean. So don't let your chestnuts roast in the wrong boxers. They also have a pair of Manscaped boxers specifically made keep the area cool and provide holiday comfort all year round. They also offer the Shears 2.0, their full kit nail care, scissors, clippers, tweezers, and a file for the traveling man, also for the disc golfing man. When you're gripping, when you're doing a power grip, you gotta have those nails cut. That used to be a big thing. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
There was in the bag that someone carried nail clippers.
But that wasn't for your nails. That was
There was someone who carried it for their nails.
Yeah,
because your nails get a little too long, and when
I thought you were talking in the bag segment.
No. There was an in the bag on YouTube.
Yeah, I forget who that was.
If I can find them, I will send them a Shears 2.0.
I will say I'm pretty particular about it.
There's also the new Preserve cologne that brings a light, breezy, woodsy feel that gives that fresh tree scent even after the holidays are over. You're still using a loofah? No mo, introducing the body buffer. Well, loofahs actually hold bacteria from dead skin, and you can help them throw out that disgusting old loofah and get the body scrubber that feels smoother but acts tougher. Get 20% off all of this and more, plus free shipping with the code GRIPLOCKED over at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using code GRIPLOCKED to help support the show. Thanks again, Manscaped. You can go over there for the perfect gift. That'll be the holidays' biggest hits.
Heck yeah, you can.
All right. I was scrolling Reddit as I typically do prior to these shows.
That can be a dark place.
It can be, but it can also be a great place. But I like to read it because it gives you a good pulse on what the disc golf community is talking about.
Yeah, it really keeps you on the pulse.
Right now, pretty much all the people are talking about is a bunch of ace pictures going on. Oh, my word. Don't do that. Did you see what just happened?
I think
is there a magnet on the back of your phone?
There is a magnet.
No, this is just metal. I guess my phone has a magnet because of the mag charger.
I wouldn't put it near
I'm not going to put it on my computer anymore. If you just saw it happen to my screen, you would have been terrified.
That's crazy. You just hacked it in.
Don't want to put my phone on there. My magnet's really strong.
Anywho, I was over there the other day, and I saw this title that said, Evelina Salonen said in a Finnish podcast that Texas State's FPO layout was changed after complaints from Missy Gannon and Holly Finley.
Oh.
So, this is fascinating. So let me read you this whole thing. So
you learned Finnish? So
this is the quote. And I'm trusting whoever translated this. I did go listen, and you can hear her say Missy Gannon and Holly Finley in English. And then everything else is in Finnish. So this is the translation.
Pro-journalism.
Posted on Reddit by Puzzlehead on 3.
1, 2, 3.
Puzzleheaded on 3. Puzzleheaded. Okay, Evelina. FPO layout was announced for Texas State's, but then a couple of these, I don't feel like calling out names. Timo. You can say names. We're speaking in Finnish. Evelina. Missy Gannon and Holly Finley.
You can say names for speaking in Finnish.
That's apparently what the dude
says their name.
Which is, if you listen to the show, that is kind of like the flow of how they're speaking. Like Evelina's talking, and then he says something, and then she immediately says in English, Missy Gannon and Holly Finley.
So funny.
So Evelina, Missy Gannon and Holly Finley don't throw far. They went to complain that some of the holes are too long. They were heard, and 1 or 2 days before the competition, some of the holes were changed to be easier and shorter. I think it's shocking that there can be a few people out there who don't throw that far and are allowed to complain. Their opinions are listened to, and the courses changed for the competition. And then there's a link to the podcast with timestamp. And then Holly Finley responded in the comments on Reddit. And she said, "Is this manufactured drama? Sure feels like it. I got second at Texas State's 2 years ago when it was on the national tour, so take that for what it's worth. No one consulted me about the layout or any changes. Missy did a walkthrough of the new layout prior to the event, but that had nothing to do with me, as I wasn't there or associated with the layout changes. Stop hyping fake FPO drama." And then someone responded, basically people responded were like, well, what do you mean fake FPO drama? Like one of the best FPO players in the world is the one who said it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was just manufactured.
Fake.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was interesting because obviously one point of view, Evelina's, is, and she might have heard it through the grapevine. I don't know.
Yeah.
It does sound like Missy Gannon did a course walkthrough with the Pro Tour or someone a few days before. But Evelina basically, what she's saying is, they're out there practicing and then the course changes magically a day or two before. And from her point of view, it's just because a few of the women couldn't throw far. And obviously Evelina would be upset about that because she's one of the farthest throwing women on tour. So it didn't change in her favor at all. It actually changed against her favor.
If I was Evelina, I mean, it's one of those like, okay, if Missy Gannon does walk through and course changes, does that mean that Missy Gannon necessarily had a hand in it? No.
I don't know where Holly Finley got thrown in the mix.
And yeah, so like I'd love to know like where she got that information and like and it may have literally been Missy Gannon and Holly Finley talking about it, or it may have just been her theorizing. But yeah, it's tough because like I would be frustrated if that actually happened. I would be extremely frustrated as Evelina, but also like if you can't make 5-foot putts.
Well, it does seem in Holly
that probably should be more of your focus.
Yeah. Maybe they should shorten the circle.
That is a good
step. Like should they make the basket bigger?
I shouldn't have said that. But Holly Finley does seem to like not deny there was course changes a few days before.
That's true. She was
just saying like I didn't have any part of it.
She said it wasn't me, basically.
Yeah, it was. And she did say farther down, that if it was fully up to her, she would just choose way more wooded courses. Because I do remember we were at Texas State's a little bit before.
That's right, we did play that.
And I remember I was trying to think of where I saw it because when I was reading this, I like had a faint memory of some players complaining that it wasn't in Dogwood. It wasn't the wooded course anymore.
Yes.
It might have been like a press interview that I just remember someone saying like they wish that they would have just stuck to the wooded course. Like that's what Texas State used to admit.
Multiple players that said that.
Yeah. So Texas State was an interesting one. But course should never be changed a few days before the event. If you made a mistake in the course design and it sucks, it's going to suck. Like if I'm trying to think of what change would be acceptable.
I would change
if it's like for safety.
Yeah, I would say changes due to changes to the landscape potentially.
Yeah,
would be like an option. Like if something got flooded, but yeah, you can't.
Because if you're out there, if someone's out there,
like it should already be tested. Like you should already know if there's going to be a severe problem with it.
It is an interesting. So like in the MPO division, I feel like the distance disparity isn't that drastic from the farthest thrower in the world to your average top 30 guy. You know what I mean? We're probably talking 100 feet, 150 feet, but in practical power, we're probably talking 50 to 100 feet. Would you agree? In like golf, like I'm like double G can absolutely crush a huge flex line.
Right.
But when are you pulling that out in a normal tournament?
Right.
So like hyzer power, flip up, controlled power.
Yeah, I mean,
we're talking probably
say like
he maybe has 550
than,
and most people on tour have 450.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
Right.
Whereas in FPO,
I don't think this argument is going to work for you.
Well, I feel like in FPO, the biggest difference is the people with really big distance difference, like Evelina, Paige, Kat. It's not necessarily that they're throwing so much farther in a wide open field. It's that they're throwing mids where others are throwing distance drivers. So I think the problem that FPO course design runs into is because of how much that difference is compared to MPO, where like MPO, if you're throwing 550 or 450, you're both throwing a distance driver.
I understand.
FPO, if you're trying to hit a landing zone that's 300 feet away and half the field's throwing distance drivers and the top echelon of people are throwing mids, it's a much different gap there.
But
the distance gap between FPO, I would argue, is pretty much the same. I would say it's like 250 to 350. Therefore, if you just slide down,
no, if you give Paige a distance driver or Cat and you tell them like control distance, they're getting close to 400.
I've watched the Jomez video of them like throwing the certain distances.
Okay,
like
so let's say that you're.
I'm just saying the gap isn't much more than 100 feet. It's pretty similar.
I think I disagree
because I said 250. I don't really think there are FPO players that are only throwing their drives 250.
Not drives though, because if you watch, a lot of times what's going on is if it's a more open field shot, you have the Paige and Cats choosing either a mid fairway or if they're going distance driver. A lot of times they're going a controlled line, whereas a lot of other players are going a full flex line.
But your argument was that there's scenarios where the lower ones can throw one disc where the higher don't have to, or reverse that. But I think if you take the MPO gap you just mentioned and shift it down 100 feet, you have the same scenario. Like you have, if you said 450 and 550, but if you make that 350 and 450, you have the exact same scenario where one is throwing a driver, one can throw a mid. Like if you take the whole, if you just take that gap,
but that's
and
like
shift it
because where
back.
the landing zone is asked, not because of where the distance is.
What do you? I
Like if the landing zone in FPO was 400 feet,
Yes.
then it'd be the same scenario,
okay.
right?
Yes.
But when the landing zone's 250 or 300 feet, then you have some throwing distance drivers, whereas some can throw mids.
Right, but I'm saying
So
the
an
same
MPO,
thing.
that would be like an MPO if that landing zone was 350 or 400.
Right.
We'll call it 400 in MPO.
So that's
where
what
some are throwing drivers, some are throwing
That's what
mids.
I'm saying,
But
though.
the course design in MPO is pushed.
So okay, so you're
That's what I'm
saying you're
It's
saying
the
it happens
course
more
design.
frequently
And
in
FPO, I think
agree with that.
'cause I think what happens in FPO is they're at this weird line
Yeah.
where they want to push the sport, but if they put the landing zone at 400, then it crushes the field. Because in MPO,
Yeah.
if you put the landing zone where they are currently, it's not like the lower echelon players can't reach.
Right.
Is that they just have to throw full distance. Whereas if you
I
put it at
understand.
400 feet in FPO, there's players who just can't reach that.
Yeah.
So you have to bring it back. So I think that's where something like this is tough, is because if you're a Evelina, Katrina, Paige, anything like that, you want the courses pushed because that helps
Yeah.
you. And it also helps, I think, push the sport. But then
It is a funny
it's
one.
a weird line because then it almost alienates a certain population
Right.
of the players.
If I were in charge of FPO, and this may be a hot take, I don't know, but if I were in charge of FPO and it were up to me, I would play short courses because short doesn't mean easy. I still think OB, like accuracy should be important because like we look at like US women's, I don't think accuracy was important or important enough. But I think when you have events like that where you have to think about the whole field. Like I understand, like of course the Paige and Cats of the world, they want the courses to be longer, but just because you can throw super far without accuracy necessarily doesn't mean that you're a better disc golfer. And even if like that is how it's playing out right now, that like on a lot of courses you're having an advantage because of your distance, I think you should. But I think they need to mix in more courses where the rest of the field can get involved. And like I realize that's a bummer for those top players. But if you're good enough, you should be able to win on those courses, and it's so much better for the sport. Like that U.S. women, say what you want about the event, but the leaderboard was a jumbled mess. There were so many people in that tournament, and I was way more inclined to be watching the end of that rather than the same 5 people.
Well, the problem with U.S. women's, to just use that example, is the course didn't have enough separation.
Yes.
I think there's a fine line of like easy enough to be scoreable,
I just wanted to,
but enough like if the woods had been like a lot of the rough, if that had been OB or something, to where there was a chance for that separation to happen.
I think there are just not enough far throwing players in that upper echelon of power in FPO to where you gotta cater to the field, because when you cater to the field, you make better TV.
Well, realistically, let's look at it this way.
Like,
because
I feel like that's how it is.
in MPO, the field is structured very similarly, right? You have Double G, Eagle, Simon. I'll throw Paul in that category. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few of the like David Wiggins Jr. of the far throwers.
Yeah.
But I think the difference right now between MPO and FPO course design is you are very rarely seeing a hole where being able to throw 600 plus is what's required or asked of.
Yeah.
To where they're being asked to throw those big flex. Whereas in FPO, I feel like it's not that uncommon for Paige, Kat, Evelina to be asked to throw almost as hard as they can.
Here's
So maybe it's more of the ratio of course design in MPO where you have like the farthest throwers can throw, we'll call it 650, the farthest they can throw on consistent average. Right? The times they're asked to throw that, I think, is far fewer than FPO. The farthest throwers can throw 450 to 500,
So,
and they're asked to throw that way more often.
I think this is what I just realized the flaw in my idea, and this is, I guess, the flaw of FPO course design, like where the trouble is in my theory, you basically can't have par fours. Because the problem is, if you do what I said and you play shorter courses, but you still have par fours, the top throwing players still absolutely abuse those par fours.
Well, I think, yeah.
So like what happens is, I think there are a lot of holes like that are, I think this is why you see those players you mentioned cutting it loose so much, is because I think they play a lot of par fours where the opening drive is built to where it only has to go 300 feet and they can chew off 400. So I think that's where you see that scenario a lot, because I think that's where it gets tough. Is like par threes, it's very easy, I guess. I think FPO, because the field is so diverse, it requires such a specific course to really play the right way, because you'd almost need a bunch of par fours that are just like placement. Like, yeah.
I think what's tough is...
It's really tough.
I think what the true essence of the problem is that they're playing on short version of the MPO course.
Yeah, the courses aren't being set up specifically
because like
for
realistically,
them.
if the whole design and the way the fairways and stuff are cut in are designed for someone who's throwing 400 feet to the landing zone and then have a 350 foot shot in or however it may be, if you just move that shot up to make it an FPO hole now, then it does open up opportunities of like, oh, I can just shoot the gap off the tee because I have distance and it's unfair advantage, whatever. Whereas if that hole was designed specifically for FPO or, I don't want to call it the shorter tees, but like, because I think a good course is designed long tees first, short tees second. Realistically, if it's a very, very strong course for MA1, if MA1, it's like an Am Worlds MA1 course, I think that's a perfect FPO course.
Right, yeah.
In my head. Like that's a translatable, because like an FPO course, what it should be is very challenging for the field, but if the top MPO players came in, they would shred it.
Right.
To where you can't have a Disc Golf Pro Tour MPO event out there, but that is like what's perfect for FPO. But what's hard is you can't have that scenario until it's big enough to sustain itself on its own tour. And I think this is going to be a problem that's going to happen until that day comes.
Either its own tour or at least a parallel tour where you're playing at a different course in the same area or something like that. But that is eons ahead of us.
Yeah. But I think this type of issue is going, because you aren't going to please the whole field. And in MPO, you're not pleasing the whole field, but you're able to please a much wider portion because you're choosing the course based on the MPO.
It's interesting, and I'll kind of go back on what I said before, because there's two ways to think about it, right? From a like pro tour perspective, you either cater to the entirety of the field because you're gonna have more parity, and is that what you want, or you make the courses longer, you cater to the top end of your field, and you have your superstars consistently winning, and is that what you want? And honestly, I said what I said before, but now that I think about it a little more, it may honestly be smarter to just have your superstars winning more often, like your Kristen Tatars of the world. Maybe that's better for FPO. I guess what I'm speaking from is somebody who's seen so much of it that like I just love to see it mixed up. But I guess for the newer viewers and bringing in newer viewers, you really want to have your superstars winning. That's better for the sport. When Paul Macbeth wins, it's great for the sport, right? There's so many Paul Macbeth fans. So I guess that there is two ways to think about it, and my perspective comes from somebody who's seen so much FPO that I'm like, yeah, I'd love to see somebody random from the back come through, hauling handily, just win an event out of nowhere, So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky scenario, but I think I don't see them like they're not going to move on to a separate tour for who knows 20 years. So
it's got to be figured out some way somehow. It's just a tough one when the Pro Tour is.
They're just still figuring out their own thing.
Yeah, well, the Pro Tour is picking out courses for MPO and then adjusting those courses for FPO, which leads to these issues.
Right.
Versus if they had their own tour or some version of that where they could pick courses for FPO, I think it would solve a lot of the problems. But
who knows?
I also agree with what you said earlier, though. The best players should be able to win regardless of the courses.
Yeah,
like if you shorten up an MPO course, it's not like Ricky, Paul, Simon. Well, Simon might.
As long as that course has separation,
they're not going to disappear off the face of the scoreboard.
Right.
Whereas sometimes that's what happens. Like U.S. Women's, Paige Pierce disappeared.
Yeah, and that is the thing. Like I understand like the quarrels that like a person, like if Paige Pierce would have with a U.S. Women's course, but it's not like she had a tournament where she finished a few strokes off the pace and the separation was just kind of whack. She got blown out. Like she got crushed in that tournament, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So like,
I think she came in 20. I'll look it up. I think she came in 21st.
But it's like you got to be able to show up at those courses. If you're the best in the world, that course was not hard. Like you should not be getting destroyed like that.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. It's like you can complain if you're playing courses with no separation and you're just kind of getting frustrated because it's clear that you're playing well, but there just isn't the course isn't helping you out. But how many strokes off the pace was she?
Paige Pierce was 14 strokes off the pace across 4 rounds.
Yeah, so
she got blown out.
it's like, at some point you got to be able to stay at the top of that division and dominate.
Yeah, because in that you see Katrina Allen only 5 strokes off the pace, Evelina Salonen 7 strokes off the pace, Henna Blomroos 8.
Yeah,
like they were still in the mix. Kristen Tatar obviously wasn't there.
Yeah, because I feel like if Kristen was there, she would have been right there. I don't know. I think her. I don't know. Yeah, and Paige Pierce wasn't even the one with the quarrel. It was Evelina. So I really,
No, well, Paige had a quarrel with U.S. Women's.
She did with U.S. Women's, but in this recent
in this one, Evelina was basically just saying. I think from what I got from it, Evelina's core point was an issue that should be addressed, which is once the course is set, it shouldn't be changed.
Yeah,
players shouldn't be able to walk onto a course and be like, "Oh, this course sucks for us. But also, we need to change."
We need context too, because when was that early walkthrough? Was that months prior? Because they can. Well,
Evelina said it changed. The course changed 2 days before.
Because that in that case.
Now, if that, I don't know when that walkthrough happened.
Right.
But regardless, it's on the TD. I think on actually changing the course that close to an event.
I will say, I can definitely see TDs out there willing to bend over backwards for players. I feel like. That's a tough position if you walk through a course with a player. I'm trying to think, okay, let's say I'm a young TD in the area and I'm doing a walkthrough with Paul and he's telling me things need to be changed. How much pressure is that?
Yeah.
So you probably just shouldn't be doing a walkthrough with somebody playing in the event.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna go. Now that I say that, it sounds even crazier. If you did a walkthrough with somebody playing in the event, what do you think they're gonna tell you about the course? Do you think they're gonna tell us something that would help them? I think they probably will.
Oh yeah, I think this hole is gonna be really hard for me. It's a great hole. That's not what someone about to play the event.
Yeah. Well, it says that 1 or 2 days before the competition, some of the holes were changed. That I think shouldn't ever be allowed.
I mean, man, I'd love to do some walkthroughs and some courses around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move that 400-foot forehand. I just don't like it. I just don't think people are really going to like that.
I think people are going to like it way more if it's 250, wide open, backhand hyzer.
Yeah.
Can we make that every hole? Yeah. I don't know. I saw that on Reddit and I thought it was an interesting talking point. And, it was on a Finnish podcast, but now it's been on a English podcast.
Speaking Finnish, so they won't know.
We're speaking English.
The funny thing is, what do they think that was going to cover up? Because there's a huge fan base for disc golf in Finland. So it's not it was
probably just in the heat of the moment. They're like, oh, well, Missy and Holly won't be able to whoever these people are won't be able to know what you're saying because you're speaking in Finnish. And it's oh, that's right.
Hey, good on them. They got what they needed.
They got her to say it. Yeah,
I mean,
we're talking about their podcast now. I don't know the name of it. I'm sorry. I would give you a shout out. I just saw it on Reddit. Another thing I saw this offseason so far, not a lot of player movement. We'll talk about that in a second. There's been some, but there's been a lot more players playing tournaments this offseason. I feel 100% a gut thing just from people posting on social media. But I don't know, this could be a very normal offseason. But Paul, I know for sure, is playing more tournaments. He just played another one, the South Florida Open this past weekend. He won by a considerable amount.
That's
Beat Garrett, Double G, and Thomas Gilbert.
Oh, wow. Good players.
Kayla Viska's also been getting into more tournaments with his move to Charleston.
Yeah.
He played the Carolina Clash and the Charleston Classic.
I think it's pretty simple. Classic. You've got players making a little more money. They're not going to afford to move to warm places during the off season. And then they're sitting there and they're like, hey, it's warm outside and there's tournaments and they're actually motivated to play them.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Does this support the Pro Tour's idea of having a wraparound season with no set off season? Is this basically saying hey, if there's tournaments in warm areas, players are willing to play?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll probably play around with it in the future. I think that there's multiple facets to this. Obviously, like I said, if you're Paul, you move to Florida, you're it's warm, there's a tournament here, why not play it? Right, stay fresh. I think there's also a desire for players. They see what's happening out there in the field. They see that it's getting harder and harder to win. Nobody wants to come out Las Vegas absolutely week old stale bread and not be ready for the tournament. So I think there's multiple facets to it. But yeah, I think that a wraparound tour could definitely exist. I don't know what it'll look like. I see it kind of looking like Silver Series events that kind of are sprinkled in there where you get a handful of players at each one. I don't see it being big events.
You don't see the Pro Tour ever going to a semi-golf model where there's basically just events all year.
Right, but in golf, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, once you get past the Tour Championship, what I just mentioned is what happens. You see a few players,
but they're still tour events though.
Yes. Well, yeah, but Silver Series are tour events.
No, it's debatable.
This guy clearly number one Silver Series hater.
Well, because they're clearly substandard events. Whereas the PGA Tour, if you win, you're still a PGA Tour winner. If you win a Silver Series event, you're not a Pro Tour winner.
Okay, yes, you are a PGA Tour winner, but those events in the offseason have significantly less prestige.
But 10 years from now, are they going to announce someone as 5-time PGA Tour winner, or are they going to say, well, he 5-time off-season PGA Tour winner of small events and no?
Well, you could make.
Whereas that's what Silver Series says. If someone's a 5-time Silver Series winner,
here's the difference. Here's the difference. So, and this is why this is a tricky thing, because in golf, those guys, most of those guys on tour, the ones that are not sprinkling themselves into these off-season tournaments, it's because they're bajillionaires and they have names for themselves and they don't need to be playing those events, right? So therefore, they're actually allowed to have off-season. I worry, and like maybe this is unnecessary, and I don't need to be worrying for the players, but I worry for some of the players that if you make normal tour series events all year round, that there are a lot of guys who feel like they will have to play them and they'll burn themselves to a crisp. That's what I mean. Because like
to me, it gives you an option of when you want your off season.
Right, but that's the thing is,
you just only make,
how many guys are going to sit on their hands?
You have 20.
Let's say watch those events happen.
Let's say you had 25 tour events, Pro Tour events, and 12 of them count. Towards your points.
Oh well, I mean, if it's that significant, then yeah. But that's what I'm saying. But like everyone you missed, that could have been your win. Like
of course, I'm sure on the PGA Tour, there's guys that are playing pretty much every tour event.
But here's
the other
issue is because the tour is not as big. If we have that many events, will it dilute tournament to tournament the fields that we get? Will we not see as many full strength fields?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's something I don't want yet. There's only.
Well, no, I'm not saying
there's only like 30 guys that can win.
I'm not saying
weekend
next year.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, if you talk about future, yeah, of course. Who knows? Like if the tour, let's say, like if the tour was as deep, like if you take the guy who's 30th right now, or let's say 40th right now, and that's the strength of field all the way through 100 of the whole tour, then I think at that point you're kind of ready for that, because at that point, 100th guy is as good as our 40th right now. But right now, I don't think we should dilute very much. But I'm sure it can get there.
Well,
I'm sure it will. Because here's the other thing. One more point. The other thing is, once the advertising money is there and companies are in on disc golf, of course the Pro Tours are just going to shut things down if they don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Because what I'm thinking right now is, why would the Pro Tour make this move to Elite Plus events? Saying like, hey, these are the elite events that everyone wants to be at.
Yeah.
And why would they make this move to Silver Series events happening in the off season?
Yeah.
Both of those events point to me to thinking, hey, we're moving to having tour events year round.
I mean,
and having a few key events that like we're making sure everyone's at these, and then the rest of it is pick and choose your own schedule.
I mean, I just think
that's what those two moves say to me.
Yeah, well, the Pro Tour no doubt positions themselves very well, and I think everything they do is a positioning move. I don't know that they're always going to act on everything that they position themselves for, but yes, I think that they are positioning themselves so that if that seems feasible in the future, they already kind of have things in place, and it's already kind of the norm. It's not like some kind of ground shaking move, because that's their whole thing, right? We ease into stuff and
like
then
the
we
tour
announce
cards.
them. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I could totally see that in the future. I don't know what it would mean.
Well, because I also think that what you were just saying of the strength of field, I think that's what the tour cards provide, because now you have to go through a qualification process. I think it's not this season, but next season, you're going to have to go through a qualification process to even be a touring player.
Yeah.
So once that happens, the strength of field is going to get better, because now there's pressure on you. If you are the 75th MPO player in the world, there's pressure on you to keep your tour card.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, for strength of field, like it's just one of those things where it's just a matter of time. 10 years from now, I mean, just look at what's already starting to happen. There's a new kid each year that you're like, holy cow. And if you go to some good tournaments and see the junior fields play,
they're filthy.
Yeah. Give this sport 10 years after the COVID boom, and all those kids in that young kid to teenager range are going to be in their athletic primes and maturing, and then just wait and see what happens to the strength of field in disc golf. It's going to get crazy. It's going to happen really fast, and all of a sudden, like, there's going to be a year where all of a sudden there's like 5 kids that are going to be in the top 40, and you're like, what in the world?
This might be a hot take. I don't think it is. Gannon Burr is not a one-off.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's not.
There's a bunch of Gannon Burrs.
Gannon Burr seems right now to be this freak athlete, one of a kind. Gannon Buhr, I think, is the prime example of someone who got into disc golf young.
Yeah, he's the model.
And just dedicated himself to it.
Yeah, and Gannon Buhr is what we like. He's kind of like an Eagle McMahon, right?
Yeah.
Like similar model. And we're going to see more of that because like there are literally, you have no idea how many of these pros on tour didn't start playing disc golf until probably their late teens to even their 20s,
well,
maybe even 30s.
I think you can tell with Gannon Buhr because Gannon Buhr doesn't necessarily have like, and I do not mean this in a negative way at all. I think it means he worked harder. I don't think he has freak natural talent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's just like he has this crazy natural ability other than being tall, which is an advantage.
He's built for disc golf, but he's not.
He's for sure built for, but he doesn't have like
has some athleticism. But yeah, I mean, he's not.
I'm
like,
not
he's
saying
saying
he's
like
not athletic. I'm saying there's not like he doesn't have this weird thing that he just is naturally a crazy good at. Every single thing that he has, he's worked super hard with. Obviously, with Will Shoestrick, his whole pretty much his whole life to be as good as possible at it, and it worked out like that. It's because he worked hard. That's how you know he's not the only one there is.
That also, I fully agree with what you said. That also, though, on the flip side of that coin, there are freak frisbee athletes out there.
Yeah.
And once they right now, I think freak frisbee athletes, like some of them play ultimate, most of them play other sports.
Right.
What happens when they play disc golf?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Brody Smith was a freak frisbee athlete.
Yeah.
That dude is a freak athlete, and he just didn't pick disc golf up until he was in his 30s.
And he still is doing really well.
Like if you go back and watch what he was doing in ultimate, if you put this dude,
could you imagine
in
Brody
disc
came
golf,
in when he was 25?
If you put this dude in disc golf when he went to ultimate, right?
Yeah, true.
High school age, going into college, and he just dedicated himself to disc golf, like that. There's obviously no way to know how good Brody would have been had he started then.
But he
would have
probably
been filthy.
he wouldn't have messed up his knees as much.
That's very true point. He would have been filthy. And again, Brody, Eagle, Gannon, they're not one of a kind one-offs. Right. That's going to happen. Someone's going to be Gannon Buhr's dedication, willingness to do whatever it takes at age what was he winning worlds at 12, right?
Yeah, he was young.
Like filthy talent. And then you put in Brody type athleticism and explosiveness, right? Combine that player is going to come out, and I don't think that's going to be one player. I think that's what you're saying is 10, 12 years from now, realistically, I think the field is going to be so young. I think there's just going to be tons like Nicholas Antela, who's 21 right now. When he's 31, it's going to be very hard for him to win.
Yeah.
Because I think the field is just going to be full of, and Gannon Buhr, who's 17 right now, when he's 27, it's probably going to be hard for him to win.
Yeah.
Because I think there's going to be a bunch of Gannon Buhrs. I think that's the field's going to probably have 15 of them or 20 of them. And it's going to be a crazy time.
It's going to be very interesting.
It'd be electric. But obviously, most of that has to do with advertising money coming into the sport.
Right.
If the money doesn't come, the players don't come.
You got to be, right now you have to be basically really fall in love with disc golf to narrow into it like Gannon did, whereas he could have focused on other sports and he just played a lot of disc golf. But if there's money involved and you could be dreaming of signing that $1 million contract.
That's what Paul's contract, I think, did more for the future of the sport than people realize. I think we'll know 5 to 10 years from now when people talk about I was playing disc golf and then I saw that 10-year, $10 million contract and made me realize why am I still playing baseball?
Another one that doesn't get talked about is the college disc golf scholarships that are starting to come about. Yeah. That's another one where it's if kids can think they can pay their way to college with disc golf, then I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, really, because the competition level to pay your way to college with disc golf versus paying your way to college with any other sport,
astronomically.
Your percent chance of getting a full ride or even partial college disc golf scholarship versus getting a D1 scholarship with basketball, I mean, it's probably 100,000 to 1 in how many people are trying for these two things.
Well, and even without the money, the allure of being able to play a professional sport, path to pro is talked about in every sport. And right now in disc golf, your path to pro is so much easier than any other mainstream sport. And not to say it's easy, but it is so much easier. I was looking, I keep seeing these TikToks where these guys are taking the top 10 high school football recruits from a certain year, and then they'll talk about where they are now and how many of these top 10, you were one of the 10 best players in the country coming out of high school, and how many of these guys are not even didn't even lick the NFL or got kicked out really quick, weren't good enough. It is so hard to go pro in other sports no matter what you do. And the fact of the matter is in disc golf, the clock's starting to tick because I think people are starting to catch on. But 10 years ago, if you just said, I'm going to dedicate myself to disc golf and I have some amount of athleticism, you're going to be a professional disc golf. It's like a guarantee pretty much if you're willing to put in the time. Whereas, that's still very much there right now. But, I think enough people are going to start thinking that way that, it's going to get crazy. It's going to get real crazy.
All right, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia.
Trevor's Trivia with Trevor.
All right, I think I found a really cool one today. You should text Nolan back, by the way.
Never, dude. Nolan.
So this
never
is
heard of him.
an interesting one. So this is 130. I'm guessing I think this is all of them, but I think there's 113 total companies that have had a PDGA approved disc.
Wow.
At least there's 113 on this list. Don't quote me on that. But
That's a lot of companies with Frisbees.
basically what you get for this is you get the year and the first disc approved by that company, and see if you can guess what the company is. And we'll just see how many you can get.
Dang.
Are we working
working
together?
together?
or-
Yes.
I
you
love
work
that.
together.
I like it when we
this is
work
going to be
together.
really hard, but so I'll be curious
He's
to see how
like-
many you can get.
2014
Some of them will be
PA3.
really
I'm
easy.
like, I don't know.
We'll just go through them, and you just say skip if you're
blast.
like, there's no way I have a clue.
Skip.
All right, you have 6 minutes, by the way. First one is 2007, and it's the Radius.
What?
The Radius?
We might have to skip, man. I've never heard of that disc. Have you heard of it?
No.
I've only heard of
haven't.
Radius Brewing Company.
But we can still guess.
Well, you should probably just skip it.
I think we skip.
There's a lot. There's 113. of
skip.
these. 2010 with the Money.
Oh, that's
Is that mint?
Mint.
Yeah.
That is correct.
2010. They've been around 12 years.
I didn't realize they've been around that long. 2010
crazy.
does not
No,
feel
that
like
was
12 years
incorrect. That was incorrect. It typed it in. It went into a different thing. That was incorrect.
ago. Oh, wait. Are we not
The
going to
Money?
get the answers for these?
Well, yeah, you will at the end. I'll
2010
at the end.
Money.
Incorrect.
Is that?
Okay, skip then.
Yeah, just.
I thought it was too. 2017 with the Cypress.
Is that,
Oh, that's that tree. Is that AGL?
Oh, AGL. Yeah,
Go
yeah.
AGL.
That is correct.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice job,
2003 with the Epic.
Arobi.
Arobi.
How do you spell that?
AEROBIE.
Correct. 2018 with the Galley.
Galley.
Remember that one.
2018? 4 years ago? I feel like I would have heard them coming out. No idea.
Galley, yeah.
2021 with the Apollo.
Oh, that's is that Alpha Discs?
Alpha Discs.
Alpha did the
ALFA.
Alpha did the Yeet, right?
No.
ALFA.
Who did
That
the
is
Yeet?
correct.
Yeah, Hooligan did the Yeet.
Nice.
You're right.
2015 with the Dragonfly.
I'm thinking about the Alpha Plastic.
The Dragonfly 2015?
Yeah.
Daggone. I can see the stamp. I have no idea who it is.
Okay.
I don't know who it is.
2017 with the 50 cal.
Oh, that 50 cal. That was
Is that Heiserbaum?
no. Gosh. They don't exist anymore, I don't think. I don't know. I don't remember.
2014 with the Alias.
No clue, man.
27
You have any idea?
No.
2017 the Max Glide.
The Max
I want
Glide.
one.
I want
Max
one.
Glide?
No idea. 20. What year?
2017.
Yeah, no.
2021 with the Marvel.
Oh, Birdie.
Nice. Good
There's
job.
a nice easy one. 2016 the Chainsaw.
That's a Black Zombie, right?
I have no idea.
I think you're right.
Sounds
Hunter's
right.
good at this. Yeah,
He
it was
is
Black
doing a
Zombie.
great job.
2022 the Circle 2.
What?
You're about halfway through your time.
is that OG1 or whatever they are?
Oh, the Grip G1?
G1?
No,
Who's-
G1 was their first disc. Odd Grip.
but did they come out with another one in 2022?
No, this
no,
is their
this
first
is it.
disc
This
approved.
is it. Yeah.
This
so
is
no,
the first
that's
disc
not it.
approved
Skip.
by the company.
Oh, duh. Sorry, I was stupid.
This is
idiot.
2020 called the I1.
What are people doing?
Is
Skip. Unless you know, Konner.
19,
No, I don't know.
1998 the Sniper.
Is this
It's gotta be-
Lightning?
We can go for it.
Sniper?
Sniper. It
No,
doesn't-
because they had like Driver 1, Driver 2.
Yeah.
But I feel like Lightning had like a scope on one of theirs. What year? 19?
98. That's the year I was born.
That's also, I think, the year Gateway started. Does Gateway have a sniper?
Not that I know of.
I skip it.
2021 the Mango.
Oh, it's Flash.
Oh, yeah, Clash. There we go. We got that one, Hunter.
Nailed it.
2011 with the Credo.
No idea.
Let's-
2007 with the Swift
oh.
Fox.
What was
That's
that?
a cool name. Swift Fox.
2011.
2007.
Seven.
Swift Fox. I ain't got a clue.
I don't either.
2014, the Chimera.
The Chimichanga. What?
Skip.
Skip.
1982, the Kitty Hawk.
1982. The Kitty Hawk.
The Kitty Hawk.
The Kitty Hawk. North Carolina.
Is Kitty Hawk in North Carolina, or are you thinking about Chimney Rock?
They definitely think Kitty Hawk, where they flew the plane the first time.
Is that in Kitty Hawk?
That's Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Guys
Wow,
don't know
I've
his own
never
state.
heard of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in my life.
Really?
I'm
It's
from
at the
North
Outer
Carolina.
Banks.
Kenzie's been there.
That's funny.
I have a shirt with it on it. But I mean, that's just like where the first
But I
flight
mean,
happened.
you're running
So
out of
that would have
time.
been anywhere. Skip.
2019, the Duke.
I need to own that disc. I have no idea.
2019, the Duke. What? I feel like there's a company that does.
Skip.
Okay.
2016, Lex. It's called Lex.
I mean,
I'll just
we're
skip for
doing
you. It gets to some 2006, the MD1.
Discmania.
Tasmania.
1981 with the Sky Streak.
Discraft.
This crap.
Dude, I mean,
I didn't know
1982
Sky Streak was their first disc.
We're gonna 1982. We're gonna kick ourselves. We're gonna know that one.
2022, the Flat Earth.
I want one. I need one.
I saw this posted. I don't know who it is. Skip.
2020, the Interceptor.
Oh, can we go back to?
Yeah.
I think it's Doomsday.
Which one?
Flat Earth.
Oh.
I might be wrong.
Hold on.
What was the next one you said? The Interceptor?
Yeah, it was.
The Interceptor is that's elevation.
Elevation. Yeah.
2014, the Honey.
Wait.
No.
Nope.
The Honey. 2014. No idea.
I've never heard of another disc called that.
I haven't
So
Oh, this would be an interesting one. See if you know this. 2022, the Falcor.
Oh, because it's like Kale's signature line. So is it airborne?
No, but somebody took his name right before it came out.
Oh.
Somebody kind of it's a company you would know, but like they actually haven't produced this disc yet.
And this year is their first disc.
And when we saw them approving discs, we're like, oh, they're getting back into disc golf.
Whammo.
Close.
Franklin.
Yep. It's Franklin.
I do remember seeing that.
All
Now.
right, time's up.
all right,
How
I
many
need
did
to
we
hear.
get?
I need to hear.
You
the
guys got
answers.
11 out of 113.
Let's be
Now,
honest. Hunter got 10 of those.
Granted, I was kind of going down through order. If you guys like really scrolled through here, I'm sure you probably could have got another
Well, we definitely
10.
would have got like Innova.
Probably could have got another 10 or so. So
Pop Prodigy we would have got.
the money was ABC.
Oh, that's it.
I've never heard of
I've
that.
seen it on
The Alias was Axiom. The 50 cal was Arsenal discs.
Arsenal disc.
Why have I heard of that?
Oh
I've
my
heard
gosh,
of it
the
as well.
I1 was the Ching's disc, the one that we had.
Oh,
funny is that?
The
The
CHENGZ.
I don't think Connor was here then.
No, I
The
wasn't.
Swift Fox was Daredevil.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna see if there's any other.
A lot of them, like, does the Swift Fox made anymore? Is Daredevil still around? Canadian
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough list. If somebody could actually get that entire thing, that's
How
next to
was the
impossible.
6 minutes?
I don't think
limit
there's
to
Yeah.
anyone. I don't think
No.
there's anyone that can get that.
130. What was the Kitty Hawk?
The average score is 12%. You guys get 11%.
Oh,
I'm fine.
okay.
Well,
That-
but we
yeah.
could have got more
Yeah,
because
we didn't do all
we
of
didn't
them.
go.
Yeah.
If we would have scrolled down, we would have got Innova.
DGA, Kitty Hawk. I knew that.
I knew 1982. I almost said it
Especially makes sense because you have the Hawk.
just because of how. What was
Discraft.
98? The one that was in 98, the sniper.
That was. Oh, yeah, hold on.
What was also the one that was like I can't remember.
I didn't know if you were about to make a joke.
No.
You just call it a random name. That's typically how you lead into jokes.
What I want to know the answer to all of the ones we missed.
The sniper's the one I want
Is
to
it
know.
not going to let me give
I can
up?
Google it.
Yeah, just Google it.
Disc golf sniper.
There was one that was called like the O'Reilly's or something like that.
Ching.
Ching discs.
PDJ approved Ching disc, which is different than
Wait, what was the
Chang's.
50 cal?
That was
was
Arsenal
Arsenal.
discs.
That's right.
Is that the Massachusetts company?
I don't know.
50 cal Arsenal. I think this is the company based in Massachusetts. I
What
think they
was
were going to
the-
sponsor Nick Carl originally when they were first coming out, and then I don't think they ever.
What was the Flat Earth? Was the Flat Earth
It was
Doomsday?
Doomsday.
It was Doomsday.
Yeah.
I got that one.
What is that disc?
I don't know.
What's the Ultra Glide or whatever it's called?
The Glide Max?
Glide Max.
I don't know. Or Max Glide?
Max Glide.
It's probably like, it was a really old one. It
I
probably
would
just
be
what they called discs
I would
back
be
then.
so happy to have every one of these discs in my bag.
That'd be sick. There is a guy, the guy at the PDGA that like gets sent these to prove it.
Yeah,
He
all
has
of them.
every disc ever made.
That's amazing.
That's the coolest. He has the most valuable collection there is.
That is very cool.
I can't find where they're
Imagine that.
located at.
Imagine how awesome. Here's what we need to do.
He is the first destroyer.
If it ever comes to this, we need to be the ones that overthrow the PDGA so that we can be the ones that approve the discs, so we can have that power trip.
Well, we just need to get that guy's collection.
Yeah, that is pretty freaking cool.
All right, what was it? You wanted to look at Max Glide?
I think it was called the Max Glide. I mean, searching that, you're never gonna find it. You're just gonna look. You're just gonna find disc with maximum glide.
Max Glide from the best disc golf discs. That was a manufacturer name.
Best disc golf disc.
Best disc golf disc.
It's got to be good.
This is that YouTube channel, right? That's their logo. Did y'all ever watch that?
I don't know. I'm about to find out.
Their
though.
website's gone.
Is it on YouTube? I just look up best disc golf discs.
And that was definitely their, if you search best disc golf discs YouTube channel, yeah, this is them. Y'all have definitely seen them. They'd made a disc.
Apparently.
This was from.
Oh yeah.
these
I've seen
people.
them. I've seen them.
They were like massive back in the day, 7
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh.
You saw them, surely,
Fell off
Trevor.
the face of the earth.
You've seen this, right?
I've
Yeah,
seen all
I
these
have.
videos.
Yeah. They made a disc, the Max Glide. They
Wow.
got it approved. I guess it never came out.
They got so many views back then.
They were huge. They were like,
What
they
happened to
were
them? Why
disc
didn't
golf
they get
YouTube.
back into the sport?
I don't know. The last video was 4 years ago.
Do we
They
acquire
quit
the
at the
channel?
wrong time.
Yeah, it's
I mean, 32,000 subscribers 4 years ago. That's pretty massive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, because their first view, how to find the best disc golf driver for distance, has
Well, it's brilliant.
425,000 views.
It's brilliant
Yeah.
to name your channel Best Disc Golf Disc because people are just gonna search.
They also had
Best
the
Disc Golf
website
Discs.
bestdiscgolfdisc.com.
They were rolling in it.
It's just
Fantastic.
parked here.
Fantastic.
We need to buy that. All right, well, let's move on to the next segment, the off-season player tracking. As we round up the show with In the Bag after this. Only announcement really that came out last week or in the last week was Macy Veladiaz stays with DD and is promoted to their Supreme team. Only other announcement that's come out of DD so far. Still waiting on a few players to be announced there. Lone Star has teased some signings in January. And on your show, I was in the Foundation Charleston store this weekend. If you're ever in Charleston, you got to check it out. Their store's awesome. And they were playing your show on the TV.
Oh, nice.
And I heard a clip of it where he was asking, like, why don't disc golf contracts go from October to October?
He did say that.
Why do they go all year?
Yeah.
And I think it's a solid question because the season ends in October, minus the wraparound events.
Yeah.
But I think that where it came from was, like, previously there wasn't, like, a set tour.
Yeah.
Like, the season ended at USDGC, but,
Right.
like, so many players still played the rest of the year that, like... And also promoting with like Black Friday and stuff like that, it makes sense to go into the year to year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you think it should go October to October?
I
Or
don't
you
know.
like it going January?
I don't know necessarily if it should be because with the model of the season, like I understand the issue of like, okay, but then if we want to, it's tricky because as soon as the season ends, you want to start signing players as a manufacturer, and then they're all locked into these contracts. And you've got to wait, and that's annoying. So, like, I understand that. I guess maybe what needs to happen is maybe if you sign a contract, like if I were an agent and my client was going to sign a contract from January through January or December or whatever, for just a normal calendar year, what I would do is I would have a clause where at the beginning of November we are allowed to start negotiating with other companies freely without any issues. Like that's what I would do. So that therefore. So that way you can still be under the contract advertising for that other company, but they're at least able to get the ball rolling. Because like you have plenty
I
of
think
time.
they are able to get the ball rolling.
He made it seem like there was holdups there because the problem shouldn't be if you have from January to mid-February just to like make an announcement and start pushing stuff. I'm saying is you should be able to maybe even have an agreement in place during that time.
From what I've seen, the inner workings, all of that's allowed. It's just you can't announce. Because like Paul's Discraft deal,
but he didn't make it seem that way.
Paul's Discraft deal was
And it's
signed at before USDGC the year before.
Yeah, it certainly was not. It was not made to
Ricky's
seem
deal
that way.
obviously was signed.
Josh
before
from
the end of
Lone
the year
Star was
last
making
year.
it sound like signing players. It can be pretty much impossible to talk to some due to their contracts until the year's up. which makes it to where like I can't.
Maybe the player is just saying like, I'm under contract till December. Let's talk then.
Yeah,
I've heard. I mean,
I don't know.
From the inner workings I have heard or been a part of, negotiations sometimes start in July.
Yeah,
in the middle of the year.
And that was a different time. Like maybe companies are.
I
Getting
mean,
starting to
Ricky's
get
last
strict
year got leaked, and that was the whole issue. It was around this time last year, and he was still with Innova through December, and like that's a big contract last year.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is what he told me.
Fascinating. I don't think it should go. I think December because if you're a manufacturer, right, and your player wins USDGC or the Tour Championship,
you're gonna ride that high for a little bit.
You want to be able to produce discs and not worry about those discs sitting on your shelf because November 1st they're announcing that they're leaving.
It's true.
You want to be able to run the disc, have guaranteed we have through end of December to sell these things, and we want to be able to use, like, let's just say Paul, for some enormous reason, this would never happen, leaves Discraft next season. Okay, I know he's in a 10-year deal. Discraft would want to still be able to use Paul for Black Friday sales, pushing close to Christmas. You'd want to be able to use him for all your marketing through that time. Because the Pro Tour season ended, holiday season just started.
Yeah.
You want to be able to use him, and then during that time, you also would want to be able to like shop, find your next player who's also being used by their manufacturer. So then when January rolls around, y'all both announce, and then it's great. It's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, to me, make the calendar year make sense. I think the tough part is like players start their off season and want to be throwing the new discs, but by contract they can't. Depending on the contract, some of them you just can't throw in tournaments, so that means you can throw in field and all you want. Some of them though, like,
well, yeah, and who's going to stop you?
Are much tighter on like what you're doing in promotion and stuff. But because I think what happened last season was like Eric Oakley, for instance, the whole reason we found out where he was going before he went there was like he was out doing a video shoot at just a public course with Infinite. And so it was like obvious where he's going, and then someone sees it. Because like if in golf, if Tiger Woods was changing from Nike to someone else, right? Which Nike doesn't make clubs anymore, so I know whatever. But let's just say that change was happening. When he's doing his driving range sessions and something, he's not at Poplar Forest.
No.
You're not just rolling up to a course that you can just walk onto and you see Rory and Tiger and people playing.
Yeah.
In disc golf, you do, because like it's not a country club sport. It's not going to be a country club sport. So that's like the tough part, I think, is like once these things go through, that might be why people are a little tighter, is like if I showed up to a course and I didn't know Nico had signed with Lone Star, and I see Nico out there and I like walk up to get a disc signed and he's like practice putting, I see he's putting with the bull snake. What's stopping? Like that person has no obligation to not post about it on Reddit or tweet about it or whatever. Like that person just saw you in public. That's public information, what they just saw. Because I think that's what, like, I'm expecting still quite a bit of movement and re-signings this offseason. But I think with like all the leaks that were happening last year, because like I was getting DMs from all over the place. I am getting some this year, but I'm being much more protective about the information because obviously manufacturers wanted me to. But last year it was like every week, a person who I knew and trusted was not lying to me, was sending me proof of players moving. I think this year companies are being way more hush-hush about it, running a much tighter ship of like, you're not practicing with these discs if it's a big move, or you're not telling your buddies, wait until the contract goes through and it's official January. So I'm expecting a lot of news to drop in January.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of rumblings of where players are going. There's a few bigger profile players that do seem to be on the move. We're not talking like top guys. I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
but I have heard some top. We're not saying anything else. I've heard some very solid names that they might be moving. We won't know till January, I don't think. I'd be surprised if we see any announcements from now to the end of the year. But we'll see. All right, let's wrap the show up with an In the Bag segment. Super quick. This one's going to be practice aids. I forgot to post last week on Twitter. If you don't know what In the Bag is, basically we pick a topic like practice aids, and we each get to do a snake draft of our top 4. Post about it on Twitter. It gets voted. Whoever comes in first gets to pick. Trevor, you won the week before, so we're just going to let you pick again.
Okay.
Since I slap on my hand, I didn't post last week.
Bad boy.
I'm going to go...
No, Trevor, Konner, you're the bad boy of this segment. Remember?
You're right. I forgot. I'm the bad boy this year.
I'm going to go... last today, so I'm gonna have Hunter, then Konner, then me.
Okay. And we're doing practice aids. Since I'm going first, I feel like I have to take the end-all, be-all practice aid and disc golf or practice basket.
That's a good one.
Yep.
All right. My number one practice aid is YouTube.
Wow, that is an incredible
Because
answer.
whenever I first started playing disc golf,
Incredible
guess
answer.
what? If it's raining outside, no matter what's happening outside, you pull up some form videos on your TV or on your phone. You can practice that form in your living room over and over and over again. And YouTube, Robbie C,
Robbie C.
overthrow, foundation.
We got a few good ones.
I've got
Tutorials.
my first one is an open field.
I do have that. Here's the problem. You guys took two of mine, and I don't have any left. So I've got to start doing some
An open field is my first one. And my second one I'm going to take is for kind of using in that open field, and that is a rangefinder.
Yeah, that's good.
It's going to help you dial in your distances very accurately.
For my second one, I am going to choose.
Nice.
Maybe you guys can help me word this.
Okay.
I'm going to say video of yourself.
I would just say a camera, honestly.
Yeah, a camera, but I don't know if the point is going to come across. Because the thing is that
Well, hopefully they're listening to this.
I'm going to say filming yourself
Sure.
is it, because that is for me. Whenever I was working on driving and stuff, the absolute best thing that I could do was watch myself, because I could tell myself to make changes all I wanted, but then I watch and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was doing that. So filming yourself, I think, is one of the best practice aids next to practice basket.
I get to pick two, right? I'm going lacrosse net.
Okay, that's
I think
great.
that was one of the ones I've used more than anything.
Yeah.
Out in a field, typically there's a lacrosse net somewhere on that field. Just set it up, and then you just like work your way back, throwing into the net, work different angles. It's a great target down there, and it lets you really dial in. And the third one, a little biased here, I'm going disc dot.
Yeah, that's great.
Helps you dial in those putts, make sure you're hitting the same spot every time. And for me, the biggest thing a disc dot has done is whenever I do practice putt, unfortunately it's few and far between now, it helps me keep focus way longer, because like I get all those chains start blurring together, having that big red dot on there when I'm like trying to rep out and I get past 100 putts, makes life way easier. If you don't own a disc dot, you should. Not a sponsor, but we do own the company.
Here we go. This is my next one. Is going to be.
You did this as far as you planned?
Well, I could only plan this during the beginning of our show. I'm going to say a mini marker.
Okay.
Okay.
It's an important part of...
Hey, that way you
Putting
can mark
practice.
out your distances of 15, 20, 25, 30 feet for your putting, and that helps you putt.
Okay, so my last two, I'm going to take... This is a tough one. I gotta decide which ones I want. I'm going to take my Atlas Voyager bag. Here's the thing. When you're out there on the course, and you need it, when you're out in the open field, I guess I'm sticking to a theme here. You're gonna need a lot of discs, and what better than a bag that can carry
That's
just
true.
a ton of discs out there to throw.
What is the Voyager bag, Trevor?
The Voyager bag is so cool because it's basically like a travel disc golf bag. It's like a duffel.
Huh.
Think of it like a duffel. It takes up a little less space.
How many discs would you
vertically.
say that thing holds?
Oh, I could put like 40 in there.
Wow.
Easy. 40 to 50 maybe. If you're going drivers, maybe even more.
I need one of those.
Yeah.
Where do I buy one?
You could go to atlasdgs.com.
How much did they pay for this ad? No free advertising.
They're so good.
What do you
though.
mean advertising? We're doing a segment.
He was
My next
asking me a
one-
question.
I was asking
My
questions.
next
You're not up
practice
yet.
You're
aid-
not up yet.
Yeah, that was your fourth one.
No,
No,
wasn't.
that was his third.
Oh,
His fourth is the Atlas Pioneer bag.
No, my last one. This is actually, my last training aid. Weights.
Oh, okay. Get
in the gym.
Gym bro. Trevor's a big gym bro now.
I've been in the gym for 2 days or 2
How
weeks in a
many
row.
how many sleeves you cut off your shirts?
So many.
Dang, dude.
It's not training aids. It's actually practice aids.
Same thing. What is practice?
This is why you're the bad boy of the
Is
segment.
practice not training?
No.
Well, if we're gonna get specific, then you're not allowed
hey.
to say filming yourself, and it has to be camera.
Just to be clear, I didn't say yours doesn't work because it's practice. I was saying you said training. The word is practice.
Wow.
We're change it to training aids really quick.
No.
Dang it, that'd have been funny.
I don't want to.
My last one
Yes,
is
so
Last year.
my last one is multiples of discs, like multiple of the same disc.
Okay.
That way you can't attribute it to the disc flying different. For example, a stack of 50 of the same putters.
We've played disc golf long enough. Are all 50 of those flying the same?
Well, yeah, but 50
You
of the
make an
same
excellent
putter
point.
feel the same in your hand, which means that it's better
Sure.
for practice putting.
Sure, but then what for practice putting? Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
throwing
for
in a
practice.
field, if I have like 50
It's pretty impossible.
rock threes,
Well, yeah, I know.
How am I
but
gonna
still-
know the difference
but
when I
the
mess up
feel
my
is the
It might
same in
actually
your
be
hand.
more
If you-
confusing.
If you had a rock 3, a buzz, an MD1, like if you have all those things and you're practicing the same shot with them, it's not going to be helpful to you.
you just said that they'd be the same. I was just questioning because we've all played
they will
disc golf
fly
long
close-
enough.
4 rock 3s will fly closer
4 or
than 4
50?
completely different discs.
Can't argue that.
But if I throw 40 destroyers, how will I know when it's me and when it's the disc that's acting different?
Yeah, but 40 destroyers flies more consistent than 40 different distance drivers.
Yeah, but if I pick up my PD2 and I know it's overstable, then I pick up my destroyer, I know it's neutral, then I pick up my octane, I know what's about to happen.
But sometimes you have a preconceived idea of how that disc flies in your head, therefore it changes the way that you throw it. Well, if you have all the
like
same
a destroyer,
disc, then
that's
you
all
might.
going to fly different.
Yes, I'm not arguing with. I don't
My
understand
final
what you're
one-
arguing for.
my
here.
final
I don't
one-
understand the point of it.
My final one here
I don't know
is
how to do. He's a bully.
my final one here.
I would never.
He just said they would all fly the same, and I was saying we've played disc golf long enough. We know that's not a true statement.
They fly relatively to the same, more so than
Except from
they're supposed to
foundationdisc.com,
fly.
every
the same.
disc flies the same.
all of them, no matter every single disc. Buy a buzz, you're getting a rock. Not actually.
What else can we advertise?
My final one is.
Thanks. I was gonna, go ahead. I was gonna
My
make
final
the prime
practice
joke
aid
again.
is a Manscaped lawnmower for the cones.
Cones are good.
You can use them to make a tee pad, throw from the same spot.
Cones are great.
I used to use them to make fake OB areas for when we were about to go to
Try hard.
For when we used to play a course called Dunn-Pace Dunes, had a lot of OB, and you need to practice landing in different landing zones. You can make it to make a circle so that you put your bag in the middle of the circle. Cones are goated. They can make you simulate so much in a field and turn an open
Simulate.
field into any course you ever want it to be. All you need is a good set of cones.
You should be
All
the
you- that's all you
spokesperson for
need?
cones.
That's all you need.
That's it.
No discs.
No.
You can throw a cone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you getting at? What are you? I don't understand.
This is why Konner's become the bad boy of the
I just
segment.
thought it was funny that you said all you need. It was
What
a
an
funny
antagonist.
I was
joke.
just
dude.
making it. I was just flipping the joke.
All right.
That was
Well,
fun.
I would like to exit
I would like to see
from
how
this podcast
I'd like to
now.
see
Those
how
lists
Trevor's practicing
are kind of
weights,
all.
man.
Those are all kind of a dumpster fire of lists. So I'll be curious because I think each of us have some really good ones, and then some are like, eh. So I'll be curious to see what people vote for.
What's my
Because Connor's first two, absolutely incredible, best ones. Second two, they're okay. I would say I have like two that are also like pretty good, and then two that are okay, and then yours is probably the most well-rounded.
Got a little bit of everything.
I'll be curious to see.
When
what
I had the
happens
first
here.
pick, I was like, well, I got to take practice basket.
I mean, the basket is goaded.
Yeah,
But you two
you have
was an
to
incredibly
for-
good answer.
Thank you.
All right, that's the banter.
That's the show. We'll talk to you same time, same place next week. Hopefully, we'll have some off-season player movement.
We'll be in the same place, bro.
Talk to you next week.